Welcome to this Workout Wisconsin quick wrap. We're out here at Pro Physical Therapy in Cross Plains. Right now I'm joined by one of the co-owners here, Jeff Schleichner. How you doing today, Jeff?
Good.
So Jeff, what do we have going on today?
I want to show you a couple tests we use for return to sport protocol for ankle, hip, knee injuries. Unfortunately, we have a spate of females with ACL injuries coming in right now, and this is one of the things we do to test not only their strength and how fast they put strength in the ground, but also to check right versus left to make sure that the affected side is close to the unaffected side when it comes to not only just strength in jumping, but also the ability to absorb force and put it in the ground multiple times.
All right, let's go ahead and see it.
Okay, so we use a jump mat. It's a really old switch mat piece of technology. There are only 4 tests on here. We use the 1-time jump and the 4-time jump. The 4-time jump shows something called RSI, or Reactive Strength Index, and is more a measure of your neuromuscular readiness. And people talk about how ACL injuries take, at least a year to come back. Sometimes the strength itself is only 5 or 6 months to come back, but it's that neuromuscular component of actually absorbing force and putting it back in the ground that takes a little longer. So we try to tease out both of those. And I said, these are only 2 of many, many tests we do before we clear somebody, but they're kind of fun and they translate to sports performance and other things too. So the first one is a simple vertical jump test. And so if we had Michelle do one of these tests, people vary this, whether people use arms. We're just going to use arms now also, as opposed to hands on hips. So go ahead and jump as high as you possibly can. The jump mat takes the flight time, and then based on gravity, calculates how high you jumped. So that was 15 inches. So sky in there. So we like to look at that if we have a baseline measure before or after. What's nice about this also is when we're having somebody test for maximum vertical jump, it's going to reveal any kind of mechanical flaw. So if she has the dynamic valgus in her knees or is shifting side to side, you'll see it in the mirror. She'll feel it or see it in the mirror. So it kind of tricks them into going maximum effort, and it shows any kind of mechanical flaw that might show up there.
So Jeff, how accurate is this thing when it determines vertical jump?
Really, really accurate. People can slightly cheat it sometimes if they decide to land with their knees bent, but over the course of, if you do a whole bunch of tests, you usually weed that out. They tend to test the same way. And we're really after, for this progression of jump values, and also we kind of do it to assess mechanics. It's the right to left one, where we try to look at the affected side, unaffected side, that as long as they're doing it the same way, we think it's close enough, and it's been validated. So,
well, it's curious because I was asking a question, especially in athletes when they want to know their vertical jump. The fact that there's something like this that can determine that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to borrow that thing from you.
It's fun, and it's unfortunate. Sometimes the vertical jump you get in here is a lot lower than the numbers you see of NFL Combine guys. You'll see you get 37 or 40 inches, and that's usually with a 15-foot run up and jumping off 1 foot. This one we either do with just the arm swing with no step up into it, or hands on hips. You're trying to get a true measure of lower body power. So the numbers, I think the highest Wisconsin Badger guy was either Khalil or Kobe King, and he's 25 inches. So. It doesn't get much higher than that when you're just doing a straight jump. So we also do the 4-jump test. And the 4-jump test shows that neuromuscular control and readiness and ability to put force back in the ground. The cue on this one is we want you to spend as much time in the air as possible and as little time on the ground as possible. So it's measuring the pop, pop, pop. So it looks more like jump roping on steroids. So if you want to give it a 4-jump test here, Michelle. And pop, 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 pop. Good. What this gives you is an average ground contact time, an average flight height, and then it does a divisor of the entire jump height divided by the entire ground contact time and gives you a number. The one that's used on here, like I said, is the flight time divided by ground contact time. So anything over a 2 on here is going to be respectable. 2.5 is great. We then will also do a right versus left. So can you do the same thing just right-footed? Okay, so that came up to 0.98.
I was going to have to catch it there for a second.
And kind of the same deal as before. When we have somebody do a maximum test, it also tricks them into maximum performance. We can watch their knees, make sure they're not diving in. We can watch how much they flex their knees in landing. If people are not quite ready to come back to sport, a lot of times they are scared to bend their knee in the landing. So you'll hear the sound differently, and you'll see it in the knee flexion. So if you go lefty, Okay, at 0.92. So that was a little less than 6% difference. You'll see most studies will say they want less than a 10% difference side to side. 5% is a nice target there too. We usually do multiple tests also, so that if it takes a little bit of learning for the left side to catch with the right side or the affected side to come up with the unaffected side, we let that happen also. What's kind of fun about this is we'll also do preseason baseline test measures for basketball teams or football teams. We'll have them do right versus left, so if they suffer an ankle or knee injury during the season, we'll have a baseline to compare it to during the rehab if they're back to what they were before the injury.
So if there's this percentage of being off from what she had from left to right, what do you do then to correct this?
For this, two things. One, we're trying to in a way, look at rate of force production. So we need to look at the amount of force you can put in the ground. And then we also work on how fast you can put it in the ground. So two things. One, we'll work on just maximum force development. So we'll squat, we'll single leg squat, we'll work on hip hinging type things to try to develop that maximal force. But then work on putting that force in the ground faster through the range. So plyometric type activities, we might start as low as an assisted single leg ankle bounce, to a single leg jump with assist, and then start just working on the jumps. But really the thing that translates most to these really fast type activities is the really fast type activities. So if we want to work on sprinting, the best way to work on it is sprinting.
Right.
Jumping is jumping. So maybe we add a little bit of load, but we want to be, for that fast type thing, we want to be close to the same force velocity profile that she's testing right here.
Okay.
So kind of the whole thing, with the whole spectrum of the slow and maximal strength to the super fast with lighter load, hitting the whole thing.
Jeff Schleichner here out at Pro Physical Therapy in Cross Plains. Make sure you come out here and check them out. Stay tuned. We got more quick reps coming up here on Workout Wisconsin.